it sounds like a lot for her in general to be someone that's anxious living life, right? But then also what it's like being a partner of someone that is this anxious, just day to day.
It's not easy. So my wife's anxiety is her superpower. It's what made her so good at CIA. It's what makes her so good at life. And it's not what we expect because it's not the social butterfly. It's not the person who's always the hero in the movies, right? She's the person who helps the hero succeed that you only see for like 3 minutes in the entire movie. That's who she is. But that makes everybody want her, everybody love her, everybody trust her because she's Jihi. She is who she is. But being married to that person is very difficult because they never trust you.
Yeah.
They always doubt you. They always doubt themselves. And they never, like my wife doesn't build close enough relationships with other people that she can share the burden of her life with others. So all the burdens of her life, and they come to me.
Mm-hmm.
And in both of those instances, whether she's burying them herself or bearing them to me, it's just hard because I have all of my own issues. I have all of my own challenges. We both have all of the challenges of the kids, of the business, of our life, et cetera. So we have all this, and I can vent it with coworkers, and I can vent it with friends, and I can vent it with her. She only has me. I think a lot of young couples or people who are newly married know what that feels like. Like that you have so much energy.
Capacity as well, yeah.
For the other person.
Mm-hmm.
But then as things start to layer in, and now you have to build a business, and now you have to build a family, and now you have to take care of your aging parents, you start losing patience. You start sharing energy with other people, and you don't have the capacity for your partner. And the hardest years of our marriage have really been the last 3 or 4 years. I think people tell themselves it could be better, but they don't recognize that the person you fell in love with and who fell in love with you was a person of the past. And that's not who you are now. And the person of the past who is still with you now has proven that they can make the journey with you. If you cut that journey off and you put a new person in their place, there's no guarantee that person can withstand the next phase of the journey. I work a lot with very wealthy clients. And one of the common things that happens among people who are worth more than $25 million or so is they almost always have a divorce, at least one. And oftentimes the divorce happens 12 to 15 years into the marriage when the business really starts to take off and when the spouse feels like, you have to pick between me and the business, right? And the business owner oftentimes picks the business and boom, the business takes off. They lose half of their value in the divorce, but what they're losing is half of their value at the time that they get the divorce. And that just inspires them to dedicate themselves even more to growing the business. So now that they have a $100 million business, a $400 million business, however big you want to say it, they get married again. Well, the person they marry the second time is not marrying the person that the business owner remembers being in their heart, right? I'm a 45-year-old dad. In my mind's eye, I'm still a 24-year-old kid. My wife met me and married me when we met when we were 27, we got married when we were 30. She knows me. The same me that I see in my own mind is the me that she knows. So if there were ever to be a time when she left or she passed or who knows what would happen, if somebody else came in, I'm starting with them at whatever my current age is, and they'll never know the 24-year-old
that version of you.
So how could they ever connect with even the me that I see inside myself?
What stands out for me is that you have made your childhood dreams come true. Because I've heard you say that when you were a young boy, your dream was to be a father and a husband. It wasn't to be, whatever work you will do, but rather have a family. So you have achieved it. But what intrigues me about it is how have you arrived at a point where you went from something that is incredibly family-oriented? I don't think many people at a young age dream of being a father or a husband. And you chose a career as in CIA that is the opposite of family, where you have to lie, where you have to not share everything with your partner and so on. How did you arrive there?
My passion for fatherhood and for being a husband were not born in a healthy environment. It's not like I had a great dad or a phenomenal parenting team that was a role model for me. It was the opposite. I saw everything day to day at home, and I wanted none of it. I wanted none of my dad. I remember my dad would come home and sit behind this old computer. He would put in a CD that was the connection to the internet back then, and he would play solitaire every day after work for hours, and he would drink Bud Light. And that's what he did because my mom worked night shifts. So my mom was at the hospital. So I watched these two people live parallel lives where they basically never crossed paths. And it was very clear to me that when my dad was home, he didn't want to be a dad. He wanted to escape. That's why he was playing solitaire and drinking beer until 6 o'clock at night when he had to feed us dinner. And then he would make the most bachelor dinner you could imagine. He would go buy fried chicken, or he would make macaroni and cheese. And if we got really lucky, he'd put chopped up hot dogs in the macaroni and cheese. And that was our dinner growing up.
CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people.
And my sisters, I don't think they were old enough to see the depression of it all.
Right. How old are you?
So at the time that I'm kind of sharing this story, I'm 13. And
so you're at that age where you can already start to see this is not normal.
Or this isn't what I want.
Yeah.
I don't know what's normal.
Not healthy, rather.
And I was like, this doesn't make sense. They don't see each other. He's not happy. When she's home, she's pounding coffee just to try to stay awake, to spend time with us. So she falls asleep watching movies, right? On the weekend, she falls asleep. She looks like The Walking Dead every Christmas because she's worked all night long. And then she comes home and she wants to participate in family activities, but she's The Walking Dead. So from that soup, I realize I want none of this. I want to do it better. So it's almost like the motivation to be a husband and a dad didn't come from something positive. It came from, I can do this better than they can.
Yeah.
But the problem for me was that as I grew older, 17, 22, 24, then all of a sudden you start to really enjoy being single. You start to really enjoy the freedom of not having anybody else's junk. You have a girl and you have a girlfriend and she's got drama, you can dump her. You can't dump a wife. Right? You have a girlfriend and you don't like her voice. You don't like the way she talks. I had a wonderful girlfriend who I couldn't dance with because she was so much shorter than me. Such a stupid, trivial thing, a wonderful girl. And I was like, meh. Like it's not good enough. So
and that's in pre-Tinder times. So you really must have had a lot of options.
Was that it?
We all have a lot of options.
Did you have a lot of options? Was that why you could be so easy to?
I think this is one of the things that people don't understand now. We still have a lot of options, right? The number of people hasn't gone down. It's just that modern day youth especially don't know how to approach a stranger. They don't know how to see somebody they're attracted to.
Yeah.
And then
convert.
And then walk up and say something because the attraction is an intimidating thing. And for me, beautiful women have always been intimidating. Beautiful men are intimidating. The two of you are intimidating.
Oh, that's so nice.
I'm going to put this in my CV.
Put it in your CV. So that's the only problem. So for me, I just had the confidence to go up, and half the time I made a fool of myself right away. The other half of the time I made a fool of myself at the end of the first dates. It's not like I was a great boyfriend. It's not like I was a great date, but I could absolutely go up and try and go up and try and go up and try. And when I got into CIA, that's when I realized that the thing that may have been unique about me, if anything was unique, was the willingness to just go be a total fucking fool and see what happened.
That's actually attractive as well, because we had an evolutionary anthropologist and a fatherhood expert on our show, and she talked about how the best date is when you can make someone also laugh, and then there's like all the chemicals that you needed to activate she was talking about. And so if you're making a fool out of yourself and you make someone laugh, you're actually doing the right thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can go salsa dance and not know how to do it and then be a little bit awkward, and then it creates that laughter.
Were you using this skill? At
Well,
CIA
without-
specifically, was that your expertise?
So my time at CIA became very focused on field operations. And when you're in the field, it's very much about not being noticed by anyone except your target. And that's the skill. Being ignored by everyone except the one person that you're trying to get to notice you. And then when that person notices you, orchestrating it so that the whole world disappears for both you and for them, and it just becomes the two of you. Espionage is a game of relationships. That's all it is. It's intimate, close, personal relationships that become so close and personal and intimate that the idea of a secret goes away. Whether it's a personal secret or a state secret, the idea is to build so much trust with the person that they don't mind telling you things they shouldn't tell you about work, because they're already telling you things that they shouldn't tell you about their spouse and their kids and their personal feelings. So it all blends together. The average person can't really compartmentalize their life. They haven't been trained or taught to do it. So when they kind of start, my wife calls it verbal diarrhea. When they start to talk about something sensitive, so much more comes out.
You can feel it and sense it.
Correct.
And you were able to blend in.
CIA teaches us how to see the way people view their life. And then they teach us the tools to crack through the different barriers. And then it just like if you're like drilling for oil or drilling for water, it's really just about reaching the oil or reaching the water. Once you reach it, once you break through the last bit of stone, it shoots out. And it's the same way with people.
Can you give us an example, put this into context? Like I want to visualize how you get to see how people see their world and then...
And as anyone else visualizes, I just want to add before that we did research before because we were like, was he a spy with this hair?
Yeah, we had that question.
There's no way he could blend in like that. So we checked, no, he had short hair. Now we can visualize.
Yeah. So when you look at a human being is really three people in one. They're three people in one. And we call this the three different lives of a person. So everybody has a public life, right? A public persona. That's who we all are. That's how you do your hair, how I do my hair. That's what we choose to wear, how we choose to walk, the car that we drive, the smile that we make, the hands that we shake when we don't like the person. That's all our public life. We all have a public life. We spend most of our time in our public life. We cultivate, we create, we put energy, we invest in our public life. But our public life is a lie. It's a sham. It's not how you view yourself. It's just how you want the world to view you, right? And it doesn't matter whether or not you're a priest or whether or not you're a narcissistic millionaire.
It's not all of you, basically.
Yeah.
It's the version of you that you want to share.
Correct. So that is the public life. So CIA teaches us that anybody you meet, that's who you see. When you actually meet a person, you meet that person. So you have to understand, you have to be aware, no matter what they show you, it's their cultivated public life. If they act like they're vulnerable, they're not. They created that vulnerability. If they act like they're humble, they're not. They created that humility. It's important to understand this. You can trust nothing about the person you meet the first time. Right behind the public life is something called the private life. Their private life, your private life and my private life, is only known to a small group of people. Those are the people that know that you get gas if you eat too much beef. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that know that, you have a scraggly left toenail. That's private life, right?
Yeah.
You know what her face looks like with no makeup.
Yep.
And you know what happens when he needs to shave. Like you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Or when I shave, she can't recognize me anymore because I always hide behind a beard.
It feels like I'm cheating.
I shaved a few years ago and I never shaved again because her reaction was like,
it's so sexy and different.
No.
It was just, I was just taken aback because it looked like, first of all, I was having
an affair.
It felt like I was having an affair, and like just try to picture having someone on top of you and you see them and they're not like your husband or partner at the time and they look really young. Like
Anyway,
yes.
Okay, continue.
This part of the private life, we've gotten uncomfortable.
Now you got a private life out. You see?
There you go.
And now you saw it.
Tactics are working.
Oh, that's
now
what
you see it. Now you see it, right? So there's a private life.
Damn it.
There's a private life there. We all have a private life, but we don't share that private life. The whole time that we've been talking, you guys didn't say anything about her farts or about your face. But now we're talking about it. There's a whole second lesson I can teach you about that. But my point is, we all have a public life. We all have a private life. That private life is only known to a few people. There's one more life that we all have, and it's a secret life. It's the life that even those few people in our private life don't know about. It's where we hide all of the shame and the guilt, the doubt, the self-loathing. It's where we hide all of that is in our secret life. There are still, to this day, thoughts that you have that you won't take to her.
Yeah.
And you won't take them to her because you don't want to hurt her, you don't want to bother her, you don't want to weigh her down, so you carry them yourself. And we all have those. And it may not be a lot. That's your secret life, and all people have a secret life. When you want to gain a person's trust, not for like 10 minutes, when you want to gain their trust forever, permanently, you want to get into their secret life. Because if you can get past the public life and into the private life, then you're a close friend. But we still forget our close friends. We still lie to our close friends. We still ignore their phone calls sometimes. But when you get into someone's secret life, you never leave. We've all had people who have tapped into our secret life at some point in our life. Not many. Maybe one, maybe three. In college, when we were in grade school, maybe it was high school, maybe it was a family member like a cousin, somebody we let into our secret life. And when they responded to our darkest secrets, we were fused together forever. So even now, as you hear me talking about a secret life and you hear me talking about just one or two or three people that have ever been there, every one of us has someone who comes to mind.
Yeah.
We all know who that person is. And we all know, yeah, I shared something that was so humiliating, so scary, so shameful, so vulnerable. And they didn't run away. They didn't laugh at me. They didn't belittle me. They didn't even necessarily have to help. They were just there, and they are sharing that burden with you now. And even though you may not have talked to them for a decade, you still think of them. And if they were to call you tomorrow, you would answer the phone.
Yeah.
Right? You might even still think of them when something hard happens. That's the goal of espionage, is to find a person who has secrets about something that's relevant to you, and then get into their secret life, and then you'll never have to leave.
Because it feels so liberating
To them.
share something that very often is heavy. It brings to my mind my own personal story of living with the secret that I went out and said to millions of people with video, which was a very deep, heavy porn addiction. And I remember when, before I recorded that video and released it, I was so scared. But something was guiding me to do this, because I felt like my story can help some people move forward and understand that this is a big deal if you go too deep. And sharing it, I remember that when people would come over to me and speak about it, I instantly felt like I'm talking to a friend. And I think that's the power of you going into somebody's mind like that. I want to ask you a unique question, because it's so interesting for me on like the everyday life. You have an incredibly unique life story and skill. How does an ex-CIA agent approach parenthood? Do you use tricks on your kids or no?
So, yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes.
Okay.
The short answer is that we do exactly what every other parent does. Whatever the fuck it takes to get the kids through what they need to get through, to keep them alive and keep them healthy and keep them hygienic. Like, oh my gosh, everything is available to us. I will also say, though, that one of the things that's different about the way my wife and I teach our kids is we already know the flaws of letting your children into the existing system.
What does it mean?
Not like
You mean like schooling?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The conditioning.
It's
Yeah,
a big
that's a
topic we
great
have,
one.
so great that you go
The
into
So
it.
I'm guessing you homeschool your kids.
We've homeschooled them their entire life up till now. This is actually the first 2 months that they've ever gone to an actual school. Not even 2 months, the first 17 days they've ever gone to an actual school. And in both cases, my wife spent 6 months researching what school we would be willing to send them to temporarily. because they're not going to be in these schools for the rest of their lives. They're in these schools for the next year while we evaluate what we're going to do next.
How old are they now?
My son is 12 and my daughter is 8. So we picked non-traditional schools that matched our non-traditional homeschool structure. And we wanted our children from the time that they were young to think and feel the decision-making authority of an adult. But we would limit what decisions they could make. So as an example, they have to brush their teeth. They don't get to choose at the age of 4 that they don't have to brush their teeth, but we will let them choose their toothpaste, their toothbrush, and what time. That gives them a sense of control. So now, if we say it's 5 o'clock, you have to brush your teeth, and they say, no, I don't want to, lots of parents know this argument. And lots of parents hear it every night, and lots of parents get really frustrated, and they say, you do what I told you to do. That's what my dad used to say to me. You do what I say.
Yeah, my house, my rules.
My house, my rules. Yeah, you're lucky to live here. We didn't want to do that with our kids. So we said, okay, do you want to brush your teeth now or in 5 minutes? Almost always my son would be like, in 5 minutes. Okay,
Wow.
you can do it in 5 minutes.
So
Do
clever.
you want me to set an alarm, or do you want me to just tell you when 5 minutes is up? Set an alarm. So then I'll set an alarm. The alarm goes off. He is in total control. Alarm goes off. I'm going to go brush my teeth now. Done.
He's an illusion of control.
It's an illusion. That's exactly what it's called. It's called the illusion of choice.
Okay.
You do this with adults, you do this in espionage, you do this with people. But the illusion of control is so powerful because to the person you're giving the illusion, they feel like they have independence. So it's always an illusion of independence.
Can you take us back to the moment where you made that decision, or why you made that decision to homeschool them?
When my son was 2.5 or 3, we just did what every other parent did, and we put him into a daycare so that both my wife and I could work. Well, he's in this daycare, and it was just like impulse. We got to put him somewhere. So we put him in the daycare. And I remember going to the daycare and seeing the structure. That's his little peg on the wall where he has to put his little lunchbox. And there's a little cubby where he has to put his shoes. And there's the second peg where he has to hang his jacket. And they have snack time at this time, and they have playtime at this time. And I started to see that he would come home with a lunch bag that wasn't empty. Half of his lunch wasn't eaten. And I would ask him, why haven't you eaten your lunch? And he would say something like, they didn't give me enough time. So then I would go to the school and I'd say, hey, can you tell me about how does lunch work? And they'd say, oh, the kids get 30 minutes for lunch. And, we stand them in line, and they all stand in line, and they all wash their hands, and they go get their lunch boxes, and they sit at their tables, and they talk to each other, and they eat. And my son is a talker. He's thinking about being social before he's thinking about eating. So he was running out of time because they only gave 30 minutes. I'm not saying the school is wrong. 30 minutes seems like it's plenty of time to eat. But for my son, who wants to connect with his peers, and he's talking for 2 minutes and eating a sandwich for 10 seconds, all of a sudden that 30 minutes goes really fast. So he's not getting enough food because he's not eating his food because he doesn't have enough time. And I asked him, do you think that you could eat a little faster during your lunch period? And he looked at me and he was like, but I really like being with my friends during my lunch period. And that's when it connected, so it clicked for me. I was like, he has to choose between friends or food, not because that's a real choice, but because the school has decided to make lunch 30 minutes. If the school made lunch 1 hour, it would be a different calculation, but they didn't. The school controls how long he has to eat. And the school's teaching him how to stand in line and wait his turn and when to go outside and when not to go outside. And I started seeing all this structure, and I was like, this is going to be how he sees the world. A list of rules, top boundaries, left boundaries, right boundaries, bottom boundaries, and what's allowed. His whole life is going to be lunch is 30 minutes. Because lunch is 30 minutes, even for fucking grown-ups, right? Your lunch hour isn't even really an hour. For many of us, you're not really allowed to eat because you have shit you have to do over lunch because there's meetings or whatever else, right?
For anyone working for someone else, yeah.
And what are 90% of people doing?
Yeah.
Working for someone else, right? And unless you happen to have a boss or you live in a current kind of freer work environment where
You're
they don't really
welcome to
care.
our team.
I'm thinking the same thing. You're welcome to my team too, right? But that's not how most people work. So I saw this happening, and then my wife and I approached my wife when we had just had our daughter, and I was like, this isn't going to work long term unless we want our child to basically go through all the same pains that my wife and I went through. We were public school kids. We were college kids. We did all the structure, and then CIA had to break us of the structure to teach us how to see it in other people. And that's when we learn that when people follow systems, they're vulnerable because they can't think outside of the system.
Yeah.
But you, if you are outside the system, you can always plug in and tap them wherever they are in the process.
So the CIA taught you how to break out of the system. And that's interesting because I would think the CIA controlled you.
They did.
And they did as well.
But they created a system of their own, right?
So one system to an illusion of choice.
An illusion of choice. I think of it like you put, you fill a water balloon with water and you tie it off. And all this water is inside the balloon. And then you put that balloon into a bowl. The water has no idea it's in a bowl until you pop the balloon. And then when you pop the balloon, the water's like, oh, I'm free. It has no concept it's inside a bowl. Right? That's what CIA does to all of us.
That's an amazing.
It's so visual.
It's so good.
The water on my brain.
No, it's actually really true. Like I see that, and it's the same thing you do with your kids, with brushing the teeth and everything.
And we don't approach marriage that way because my wife and I both know now that we should always be asking ourselves, are we sitting in a bowl? Are we really free, or are we just inside of a larger container?
That's the big paradox of life, is that very often we self-employ ourselves and we make our dreams to be free. But because we are self-employed, our work hours no longer operate in any world. You can work as many hours as you want and you become slave to that. And that makes it very difficult for relationships to stay close.
Yeah, I feel like if I went by the metrics of my school up until university where I started to do well and I studied politics, but prior to that, if I just listened to what school taught me, I would think I'm a dumb person because I didn't do well in school until I got to a point where I had to just like problem solve on my own and think about like real life situations. I was like, wait a minute, but the ones who are getting 90s, they can't do this. And I can. You know what I mean? So you started to realize, okay, it's not that I'm dumb. It's that I don't fit well in the structures that were created to control me.
And now you understand two things simultaneously. One, that the people who are succeeding inside the structure are not the best of us. And two, how many of the best of us will never know that they have talent because the system failed them?
Yes.
How many great, talented people are out there feeling like losers? They don't even try to apply themselves. They think that they could apply themselves, but then they immediately talk themselves out of it because they're dumb. I'm so dumb, I think I'm smart. There must be people who think that.
Yeah. I've been there.
That is the positivity I want to spread about the common knowledge that internet is bad. But there really is a good part of internet that often we don't notice, of how many unique careers it created, how many people are able to educate themselves towards their goal. Because when we were young, when we were going to school, it was so hard to really like find a book on something. Yeah, you didn't really
or a
think,
podcast.
or a podcast. I was growing up in post-communist times in Poland. And for us, in our country, United States of America was like, you guys were not humans for us. We were like the peasants, and then Americans were the Hollywood stars. Different color blood, different dreams. You could look at a movie and you didn't look at it as it's a part of reality that's accessible. It was like a fantasy, you know? And nowadays, people finally have information that is so easy to access, and it provides people with actually an ability to chase their dreams.
And to question their reality and see how other people are living the same, you know. You can be 15 and be like, oh, that 15-year-old in Japan is living very differently than me. That is a possibility as well.